Hi, everyone, and welcome to Behind the Numbers. This is the show that goes beyond the data to explore the people, the stories, and all of the insights that drive business success. My name is Dave Bookbinder, and I thank you for joining me. Today's guest is an author. He's an angel investor. He's a TEDx speaker, and he's also known as the Entrepreneur Philosopher. I am pleased to welcome Sid Mohasseb, who's also the founder of Anabasis Academy. Sid, welcome to Behind the Numbers.
Pleasure to be with you and your audience, Dave.
It's great to have you here. So I only scratched the surface of who you are. So I'm going to let you spend a moment here and tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
I guess thinking philosophically, I'm still trying to figure out who I am, but I could tell you about about some of the things that I've done over the years. I'm an immigrant. Came to U.S. about now almost 50 years ago by myself. Have over the years. For a period of time, I was a consultant, partner of a consulting firm, worked with Fortune 500 companies and executives. Then for a period, I did turnarounds, buying companies and fixing them. Started probably 4 or 5 separate companies, mostly in the tech space. Was the president of Tech Coast Angels, the largest angel investment entity in the U.S. Sold one company to KPMG, which is a $26 billion company, and I cycled back to the consulting world for a little bit of time and was the head of strategic innovation there. And for the past, I would say, almost 7 or 8 years, I've been teaching at USC as a professor both in the engineering and business school. I've got a few books. I write a lot of articles. And recently, we have just launched the Anabasis Academy, which you mentioned, which is a global effort fusing mindfulness with entrepreneurship. So that's kind of a 25-cent tour here.
No, I appreciate that. You've done a lot of stuff, and I want to make sure that the audience understands that they're hearing somebody who's got a lot of experience.
I used to be 6'2". Now I'm a little shorter.
Yeah, we're all going backwards, and we're all still a work in progress, but
right.
It's all good. You earned the nickname the Entrepreneur Philosopher. I think I know why, but tell the audience.
Well, this was, I think, on a conversation I had. I don't know. It was one interview. I don't recall exactly, but it was either Newsmax or BBC or somebody, and the guy on the other end who was interviewing me all of a sudden says, "Well, you're really the entrepreneur philosopher. You're not just an entrepreneur. You're kind of philosophizing things." And I said, "Well, I guess you're right." The core of the idea is that I believe that it is really success is really a function of how you think and what you do. And how you think and what you do are very connected. Meaning the way you imagine, the way you mentally put the pieces together, the way you deal with your emotions, that's how you put the puzzle together in your own unique way. We're all unique. There's 8 billion people on our planet, and no two people are exactly the same. So we have to kind of build our own philosophy in life, which basically drives us. So on one side is this belief that we're unique, and everything begins with our what I call mindfulness. And I think you and I were talking beforehand a while back, and you mentioned, is this the woo-woo stuff? No, it's not. Woo-woo stuff means I'm going to go on top of a mountain. I'm going to be esoteric, thinking about great things, disconnected from the world. What I'm talking about here is mindfulness as being aware as things change. It's not okay for you to be present 10 minutes ago when you were, woo-wooing, as you would put it. You have to be present every minute of every day because things are changing, realities are changing, and it is attachment and connectivity to people and situations that makes you really effective. The idea is to have impact. You can't have impact in isolation. So in the context of mindfulness, it's a connection between people and things and our emotions and situations, and it's a constantly changing environment. So that's one piece. The other piece is I believe that we're all entrepreneurs. Now, the definition of entrepreneurship has been kind of contaminated, I'll say, because it now turns around money and boats and homes, and uh, that's not entrepreneurship. The word entrepreneur was first created in the 1700s by a Frenchman, a French economist, and this is how he defined it: an entrepreneur is someone who has something, who wants to exchange that, give that something away, exchange it with something of higher value, knowing that there is risk. That is, I've got something, I want to exchange it with something of higher value, and it may not happen. There's risk. Now, there is no definition of what you have. It's not necessarily a product. It could be a service. It could be your time. It could be anything you have. And you exchange it with something of higher value, and only you decide what is of higher value. It could be the happiness of your kids. It could be saving the children of Africa. It could be solving poverty. And yes, it could be like Mr. Musk looking for trillions of dollars of achievements. It could be anything. So at our genes, we are, Dave, entrepreneurs. All of us want to exchange what we have, our situation, with one that is better. But we don't realize that we have the ability to do that, and we're doing it every day. So the second piece of this is, if we become aware that by embracing change, by the way, change is the only friend we have that gives us options to do things. If there's no change, there's no options. You're stillness. You're the same forever. Your kids are the same age, or you eat the same thing every day. So one part is realize that this talent of entrepreneurship is in us. If we wish to exercise it or not, that's a perfectly fine decision by each one of us. But it's not somebody has it and I don't have it. Even if I go to work, I work for a company, and I spend time, uh, I attend meetings, I give them my creativity and innovation, they give me some money, and maybe if I do well, they give me a promotion, and then another promotion. I'm exchanging my time and creativity with something that I decide is better, which is a promotion and a better salary. But then might give me more time with my family. It may give me less time, less risk. So wherever we are, we're doing this exchanging, and we have to be aware of it. Even if we go to the grocery store to buy some milk and cookies, we're experiencing we decide, yes, it's time to go there. We choose this store over that store. We make a lot of this brand over that brand. We make a lot of decisions. We choose. So A, entrepreneurship is in all of us, and B, it has something to do with mindfulness. And that is what the academy is all about, which is, I've learned after 40 years, many businesses, many investments, many entrepreneurs, that if we can fuse entrepreneurship and mindfulness in an actuated mindfulness, active mindfulness, not a passive, just let's recognize I have a bias. If you have a bias and you don't eliminate it as you're doing things, as you're making decisions, good for you. In an isolation, you realize that you have it. Oh, okay, fine. So being impactful has to do with how we build our own philosophy and how we apply it to the talents that we have, the way we like it, the way we think is of higher value.
Yeah, clearly the audience has gotten a handle on why you earned that nickname, the Entrepreneur Philosopher. So we get that. I thank you for sharing that. So I'm on the same page as you said. In my second book, as I mentioned to you when we first met, I do dedicate a chapter to the concept of mindfulness. So I know enough about mindfulness, I'll say, to be dangerous. I'm familiar with John Kabat-Zinn, who my friend Harriet Stein told me all about. But I'd like you to help us to understand, how do we apply mindfulness in business? Because mindfulness to me means being aware of the present moment, always being present, not thinking ahead to tomorrow, not looking backwards to yesterday, but being focused in the now. So help me and the rest of us understand
That is
your definition of
that
mindfulness.
is an excellent question. So mindfulness is awareness. This is the definition that most people use. Is awareness of emotions and experiences without without attachment. That means you have to be detached from things and people and be aware for the present of experiences and emotions. So there's two problems with that definition. A, the present moves all the time. That is, the
Yeah.
present is not a static thing. I am now here, and another second there is another now, and there is another now. So these things are all connected. So if I'm just saying I want to be aware of my emotions at a present moment, and then get myself detached, which is the second problem I'll talk to you about, get myself detached, then by the time I get back to this reality, that moment is gone. That moment is gone. There is another moment. So I should not be aware. And by the way, mindfulness is being aware. Being aware. So when I get to the next minute, I shouldn't be aware of how things are working. That is silly. That is silly. Now, here's the other thing. If I am and I get the idea that you become unbiased when you look at it from a third party perspective. That's what they use, the detached. But if you are really detached, do you feel the pain? Do you understand the realities? It's like going to a game, a soccer game, a football game, and feeling that you feel the pain of the guy that's playing on the ground at this moment at 100 degrees weather, and people kicking him with one leg having a problem, one knee having a problem, people yelling at him. No, you don't. It's silly to say I want to be detached, but aware. You can't be aware unless you be mindfully attached. Here's what I mean. Mindfully attached is I am aware of the fact that I am feeling this guy's pain. I am aware that I have biases. I am aware that I have biases. I am aware that at any given moment it would influence my decisions. I'll give you a very real example. That about 2-3 years ago, I'm on a board of a company, and I'm on board of another company. And this second company, we were going through a transaction. We were buying a company, and as we were doing the deal, we figured out that the CEO of the other company we were buying was crooked, and I had something to do with putting that deal together. So I was pretty set that this ain't gonna work. I've got to undo the deal. We're exposing millions of dollars on this guy, and it's a mess. So I'm on the phone constantly trying to undo this thing, which we did. It wasn't a problem. But at that moment, the way I looked at people and situations was jaded. I was biased. I was in the middle of a pretty biased situation that I can't trust this. So as I'm doing this, I get a call from the other company. And he called me and he said, Sid, I have a situation here with one employee. And I said, hold on. I'm not going to give you any advice. And he said, why? I said, because I'm biased now. Because I'm biased. Whatever I give you, I'm throwing it through my filter, and I don't want to do that. Now, his response was, I have never seen anybody say that I am biased. Now, we all are biased. It's a human nature to be biased. It's realizing at that moment that you're making the decision, yeah, I'm biased, and that's okay. I'm biased towards my father or my wife, and yeah, I'm gonna take this side. I'm gonna do something that may not necessarily be a perfect, and it's okay because then now you know, you are aware. So this is very different than being in the present in some sort of an isolation, realizing yes, I have biases, but then going back to life and then applying the same biases to the decisions I make. That's silly. Now in business, Things change all the time. We have people. These people are that you work with, your customers, your employees, your partners, your investors, the society we work within. They're coming from all over the place. They want to be satisfied. They're entrepreneurs too. They want to exchange what they have with something different. Every one of them is an entrepreneur. They want to exchange. If somebody gives you a business from a company, they want to do a good job. They want to get a promotion. They want to be realized as a valuable asset. They don't want to waste money. They want to get the best deal, the best situation, because they want to exchange their situation with something better. Everybody does that. Now, the key is mindfulness, awareness now comes to, am I sensitive? Do I understand what their reasons are, what their realities are? Because it applies to me. I'm not, and that means I have to be connected. I have to be attached. I have to feel, not because, oh, it makes them feel good, or I have empathy for Dave for being doing it. No, it's not about empathy. It's about awareness. If I'm aware and I satisfy you with what you need, or I can help you, then it's to my advantage too. It's not just, whoa, whoa, let's realize that we have to have empathy for other people. Well, as a side effect by my awareness, I would have empathy. But that's not the objective. The objective is to be aware, mindful, effective, impactful, attached, and eliminate as much of the bias as we can along the way. Why? Because the less bias I have, I make better decisions. The better
Yeah.
decisions I make, the better my future.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. Everybody's programmed with biases based on their experiences, beliefs, things that they've seen, read, heard, whatever. And it's probably operating at a subconscious level. They're obviously not aware of it, as you point out. So I guess for me, the question then becomes, what kind of practices can we use to better, to become more mindful and become more aware so that we can be more effective in business
Yeah. So
and
as
in life, frankly?
yeah, see, here's the thing. In life, a lot of stuff that I say, people say, "Are you a businessman? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you this? Are you a life coach?" I'm just a human looking at life as an enterprise. We're all an enterprise. We have people. We service them in some form or shape. Our family are our customers. We have finances. We pay for our bills. It's an enterprise. So the ideas apply equally both places. So here's the key. As you have figured out, I look at the world pretty simplistically because I think using big words and complicated formulas and whatever, it just messes things up. I don't believe that anyone can give you a 1, 2, 3 to to better your life. I don't think motivational stuff that people give you is going to work over time. It could be good for a few minutes here and a few minutes there. So I'll give you advice in terms of what they can do. But this advice is pretty generic and simple, and you can expand it as you go. Here's my advice. Every time you go out of the house, think, do I have a choice? Which road do I take? What is it that I am doing? First, that would give you the ability to realize that at every given minute of your life, you're exercising choice.
Yeah. Get off the autopilot.
Get off the autopilot. Get off the autopilot, and you will realize that you always have choices, you always have options, and you choose the one that improves your situation. Boom! Realize you are exercising your entrepreneurial talent. Realize
That's
that you
simple.
have this talent.
That's it.
That's simple. That's simple. Now, that's the first part. The first part is for us to realize that there is the fact that I am in this comfort zone and it's comfortable doesn't mean that the other side is a bad place. I use the analogy of, there's some birds, they're in a cage, they're maybe born in a cage, and you even open the door of the cage, they never leave because they think it's unsafe out there. They think, oh, I have the food and I have the water. They don't even know the joy of the flight.
Right.
They don't. So the fact is, because they don't think they have any options. When you see the options and you feel the talents that you have, the second is, now, what you have is very different than what I have, what all their, 8 billion people on the planet have, is to become aware of what you have, your situation, your realities. It's not because, I mean, I call it delusional hope, false hope. Oh, I like to be as wealthy as Mark Zuckerberg. I'm going to do this little app and it's going to conquer. Man, it doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't happen that way. Yeah, some guy got lucky, and he, by the way, he wasn't lucky. He was at Harvard. He had a pretty influential family. He was very, he was already at Harvard. He had a lot of stuff that's happening, and it was a different time with different people with different situations. It's we are not them. You are not them. So realizing, becoming aware of who we are, our emotions, and the fact that the emotions change with situations. I'm perfectly happy with my employee or with my wife. 10 minutes later, she does something and I'm unhappy. Okay? 10 minutes ago, I was pretty mindful and I was youpie doo, all hunky dory. And 10 minutes later, something happened and I'm driving on the street and I get into an accident. Life happens. Life happens. And it's this being present, but not at one time, all the time. So people do ask me, do you meditate? Do you go through this Zen? I said, no, I meditate every minute. When I'm talking to Dave, I am present with Dave. Or I try to be. Not that I'm not perfect either. Nobody is. I try to listen to Dave because I learn. And because I learn, it's not just because I want to make Dave feel good. It's because Dave can change my life. Dave can say one word that I didn't know that could change a decision I'm making today or tomorrow. He is contributing to my success, but I've got to be aware of it. So practice. A.
Yeah.
Go out there. Realize you're making decisions. You're practicing your entrepreneurial talent. B. As you're making those decisions, become aware. Why? What's my situation today here? Okay? Here's the reality of my life. Here's the reality of my capabilities. This road is closed, so I open up another door here. There's beyond my what I actually call the comfort zone. I call it the death zone. That's where we go to die. Realize that there's
Yeah.
something else,
So,
and as you do that, if this is the thing, as you do that, then you begin to expand how you do that, not just by going to grocery store and seeing what decisions you have, but you do it at work, you do it at home, you do it with family, you do it with friends, you do it with partners, you do it with employees, and slowly it becomes second nature.
yeah. So at your core, the message I'm picking up here is we're all entrepreneurs, and we can all do more if we're not stuck in limiting beliefs. And this process that you've described allows us to make better decisions. Aside from the better decision making and the impact that that can have, obviously, are there any success stories that you could share with us? Folks who've gone through the academy or yourself personally, where
Yeah,
where this has been, I don't want to use the word transformational, but certainly impactful.
yeah, yeah. I can give you examples. So let me very quickly define one other thing that relates to this when it comes to business, which is this idea that every organization, doesn't matter if it's a donut shop around the corner, doesn't matter if it's a restaurant, doesn't matter if it's Microsoft or Amazon, is stand up. It's raised on five pillars: the employees, the customers, the partners, the investors, and the society. Those are the five pillars. What is in those five pillars are the stakeholders, the people that contribute to a business success, the customers in their way, the employees in their way, the partners, the investors, and the society also in their own way. These people are also entrepreneurs in each one of these. So there is an illusion that we operate based on, which is we sell, for example. We don't sell. We don't have any decision in that process. People buy. The customers buy because of their own entrepreneurial they want to exchange what they have, which would be $1 or $1 million, with something that they think is of higher value, which may be your product, which may be your loyalty, which may be what you're giving them, the value you're giving them. They exercise that and you make money. Now, so the company doesn't sell, people buy. The same thing applies to people. We think we give people a job description and we give them a job. Wrong. They accept a job. They accept it based on their own terms. They accept it thinking, hey, this is an easy job. I will turn off in at 5 o'clock. Or love this thing. The exchange is right. I'm getting creative. I like my boss. I like my environment. I like the culture. I like the benefits of this company. I like something. They decide how much creativity and productivity they bring to the table. The company doesn't decide. It's an illusion. Let's go beyond the numbers, as you say. It doesn't matter what KPI you give me. It just doesn't matter. I decide as an employee what I bring to the table. And sometimes to make you happy, I manipulate the KPI and then you're happy. Okay? Now, the same thing about our partners, supply chain partners do this with us. The investors give us money for their own reasons because they're entrepreneurial, because they're exchanging, and the society does the same thing. Not as a philanthropic exercise. Not that, oh, I've made some money now, let me give it to. No, the society, if the society doesn't give you the right crime-free environment, the right stuff, then you don't have a business. Okay? So now, understanding this idea that we're all entrepreneurs and this exchange ideas, um, there is one guy who is a friend of mine, who has become a friend of mine. I have spent with him a couple of times, mostly um, a couple of times, once or twice in Zoom, and once we had a glass of wine. He is not a client of mine. He's not. He hasn't paid me a dime. This is just a conversational thing. After the second or third conversation, he said, "You know, I am a believer. I'm a believer." And about 9, 10 months ago, he announced to his staff and his employees and his company and his customers, "We are no longer a company. We are a platform with 5 pillars. And here's what we do." His sales has jumped by 2x. He's making twice as much with a higher profitability rate, more revenue. He has created now something called a happiness index in the organization, that employees, how happy they are. That's how he measures their performance. Now, it works. It works because it's simple. We're just aligning ourselves with the core of human belief and human practice. This nonsense that they've created about capitalism. Capitalism is not sticking it to other people. It's not fast talking bullshit. No, it's not about money. It's about creating value. That's what it has been for forever. You take risk, you get the reward. You manage the risk, you navigate the risk by creating the right value. And the reward is people are entrepreneurial and they will exchange. They would love you, not because of you, because of themselves.
Interesting stuff, Sid. We're just about out of time here, and I could talk to you for another hour, honestly, but I want to be respectful of your time. But before we do say farewell, I want to give you a chance to tell the audience a little bit about your books, where they can find them, and how they can connect with you if they want to learn more about you and how they can work with you.
Absolutely. So books are easy. There's a couple of them. One is called The Caterpillar's Edge, Evolve Again and Thrive in Business. Then there's the second one called You Are Not Them, The Authentic Entrepreneur's Way. The second one is a little more poetic, a little more. It was bestseller both in philosophy and business. That gives you a flavor of the book. And I have hundreds of articles. The best way is you search me on Amazon or just on Google. You will see lots of stuff about me. Hundreds of articles in Times and in USA Today and all over the place. My email is simple. It's my first name at my last name.com. But I want to, if you don't mind, I want to talk a minute about the academy. It's called Anabasis Academy. If you don't mind putting it in the show notes in terms of the spelling and so forth. Ana
Sure.
means moving up in Latin. Ana, A-N-A. Basis is obviously the base. So Anabasis is moving the base up, moving the base up. And anabasisacademy.org, not .com, .org, is something, a global, I call it a global initiative. It's not an academy it's a very non-academic academy. It doesn't have a test. It's not a school. It's a place where you are provoked and you can engage. Provoked because I believe that if you realize that you have the choices, you can put the puzzle together. You are an entrepreneur. I just want to provoke you to realize that the community wants to do that, and we're learning partners together. It's a global initiative. We have people from across the world. We have people from Philippines, from Mexico, from China, from India, all across the United States, from Spain, France, you name it. We have media coverage in Africa, in Southeast Asia, and all over the place. It has something we call a wake-up call, which is a live session, but they can see the recordings of it at their own convenience. I have expert circles that I talk to people. We have a hot seat where we bring entrepreneurs and begin to, and then there's a series of what I call collections, conversational collections, where it's a little more philosophical. We get deeper with examples and so forth in some of the different ideas that we have. It's fusing mindfulness, the way I described it, actuated, activated, in play, impactful, with entrepreneurship. Now, we have audiences of people who are students and they just got out. We have people in corporate America from big companies that are seeking to either build their own businesses or move up in their organizations. And we've got people who have exited 2 or 3 companies, sold their companies, and they're still interested in their growth and prosperity. I would like to ask people to join it. We have a situation where some people who believe, including the guy that I mentioned to you, he says, I believe in you, that they are paying it forward. So they sponsor people who want to come in for the first few months to get them going and into the process. And I encourage people to join us.
That will be in the show notes, and I thank you for that invitation. And I thank you for sharing your wisdom with us, Mr. Entrepreneur Philosopher, Sid. I appreciate
Thank you, Dave, for giving me an opportunity. If you and I have touched one person out there to realize that they are actually an entrepreneur, I've done my job.
That's awesome. And thank you out there for tuning into Behind the Numbers. If you enjoyed the episode, or if you have gotten a call from Sid that you are in fact an entrepreneur, please take a moment and leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. That really does make a difference. And of course, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss an episode. That's all we have for today, gang. And until next time, I am Dave Bookbinder, reminding you that the numbers tell the story, but the people bring it to life. Take care, everybody.